Hello there, and welcome to the final episode of the RevOps show for this year. I'm sure you feel the same way, but where did the time go? As the year winds down, we're taking a moment to reflect on 2024, the wins, the lessons, and the surprises we didn't see coming. Tune in as Doug and Jess talk through episodes they love and ones they would do over, the biggest changes they've seen in RevOps, hard-earned insights, lessons they're carrying into the new year, and predictions for 2025. Whether you're here to relive the highlights or grab insights to apply to your RevOps strategy in the upcoming year, this episode has something for you. Let's dive in and wrap up 2024 together.
Jess, I have no rhythm.
Do you not?
Couldn't you tell? I mean, I was just trying to do a little soft to the opening music, and it was. I looked at myself and I'm like, he's. I mean,
Yeah.
If you don't know, if you didn't know he was Jewish before, you know it now. Am I gonna? Are we allowed to say that still, or is that not allowed to be said?
Are we allowed to acknowledge the fact that you're of Jewish descent?
And that the giveaway to that is my lack of rhythm.
Oh, well, I think you're allowed to say that. I think had I been the one to say that,
Gotcha.
Would have been
I'm never sure.
problematic.
I'm never quite sure. So is that Santa's? You know what? I got to tell you, I think that's Santa's beard.
No, I think it's a gnome. This was a Christmas gift. I believe it's a Christmas gnome.
Okay, but I get it's a beard.
Yes, it's a beard, and then his eyes are covered by his
right.
By his
but
hat.
I got to tell you, when you first lifted it up, it looked like a butt.
Great. We're off to a great start. This is a Thursday recording that is feeling a lot like a Friday afternoon one.
I was like, what are you drinking from?
It's a gnome. It's a Christmas
If you don't
gnome.
watch this on video, come on video. It is worth it just for this.
Now, I really want to finish my coffee. Here, I'm going to flip the mug around.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Because think about it. Now, imagine if you would, it was a duck.
What?
Look at it.
Oh, I see. Because it's like the duck's tail. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. I see.
Yes.
I understand. It is not a butt. It is a Christmas gnome. I am in the Christmas spirit. I will not be drinking out of this mug.
I thought like maybe it was a Scrooge McDuck.
I kind of wish it was a Scrooge McDuck mug. That would be amazing. I would love to have a Scrooge McDuck mug.
So I'm not as far off and crazy and what the heck is going on with Doug as you thought. All of those thoughts were completely reasonable for me to assign that.
I mean, we usually are in the what the heck is going on with Doug mode by this time in December. So.
Oh, holy cow! How is it? It's not even December. It's the last half of December.
Doug, I don't know what happened. I don't know where the month went. I don't know where the year went.
I got to tell you, Jess, today's a little bit bittersweet.
Why?
Well, any time that I get to record the RevOps show with you is a reason to be happy and is a highlight and a high mark of the day. But this is the last one for 2024.
It is the last one. It is.
There's no more RevOps shows this year.
There are not.
This is the year-end episode of the year that we crossed 100 episodes.
And it is the last episode we're recording of the year too. So we have a couple others in the tank, but we're
can,
posting
Jess.
this in the can.
They're in the can, not in the tank. They're not. Our episodes aren't drunk.
Oh my God. We're doing great.
We're off to a great start. You know what I'm doing this afternoon? You know what's happening at 4:00 today?
No, I don't actually. What's happening at 4:00 today?
The first recording session for the Revenue Acceleration Framework.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's actually not.
Are you dreading it?
I have a little bit of dread. Yeah, I do. Do you know how? So I got a coach, and I'm working with the coach. Actually, the coach is going to direct the recording.
Yep.
I mean, I thought, I'll just get on and I'll read the book, right?
Right. Yeah.
The Revenue Acceleration Framework, a proven roadmap to transform and dynamically grow your business by Doug Davidoff. Read to you by Doug Davidoff. I think in our first coaching session, we spent 15 minutes on to mom and dad for guiding. I can't even read it, for giving me, I can't, my nearsight is just going to crap, Jess, for giving me the space to learn to be myself. Like, there's so much that goes into reading a book. And the thing that I made clear, by the way, my coach is, she does work at the Actors Studio.
Oh, really?
So it's really cool.
Oh, nice.
So I was talking to her and I said, look, because she's like really, she's explaining to me that, this is how professional narrators, professional voice people. And I'm like, okay, that, like, I get that. And that's important, but I want to make sure that there's still that me.
Right. That authenticity to it. Yeah.
So Jess, as I practice my reading voice today, welcome.
Oh my God.
To the RevOps show.
So do we know when the audio version of the book's going to be out, or is it too soon still?
Probably March.
Okay.
I think I'm going to do a bunch of recording sessions over the break.
Yep.
I think we're going to find out, can you record voiceover while you're drunk?
Oh, this is going to be exciting to find out. I mean, you can. The question is more, I think, should you?
I think it's a reasonable science experiment, though, isn't it? Like, don't you have to find out? I mean, this might be the only book that I record.
Yep.
So, like, would I want to be on my deathbed not knowing if I'm capable of recording
your book that you wrote drunk? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Would you?
Drunk. The book that I wrote sober.
Yes.
It sounded like what you were saying is the book that I wrote drunk, which I realized why you felt that I wrote the book drunk. I mean, once you read it, it's kind of like somebody had to be on something to have such amazing insights, to be able to synthesize such complexity into a simple to understand way to grow whose business? Your business. Yep. Oh, you know what else I'm recording today, Jess?
What?
Or at least I'm planning to record?
Other than RevOps show, what?
Other than the RevOps show, I'm planning to record the commercial for the Revenue Acceleration Framework book.
You're doing a lot of recording today. You're going to be tired at the end of the day.
Oh, my God. Hey, there's Dakota. She's going to be recording, too. Hey, RevOps show listeners. This is Doug Davidoff.
I look forward to
that's
the
not how
commercial.
I do it. Hey, RevOps show listeners. Doug Davidoff here.
I think you should keep Dakota in the commercial.
Absolutely. I think Dakota should do the whole commercial.
There we go.
So it's going to be wherever quality books are sold. That way, if someone goes somewhere and they say the book, well, I went to get the book and it wasn't there, I can say,
the books aren't quality there.
That's because they don't sell quality books. Exactly. You always have to be thinking about what's the exit strategy.
Yep.
What would you be thinking if I told you I started to get a little bit of that itch to write the next one?
I'd be worried about you.
Really?
I mean, no, that was me trying to be funny. I wouldn't be surprised, because
I think the next one would, at least for what I'm thinking, I think the next one would be easier. Not easy, but easier. Yeah. Just because, like, the first book is so much of your personal element, like, sharing the story about crying at McDonald's, etc. Like that, you don't share that, and this one I think is going to get more into really getting into the execution of stuff, and really on the sales side, really dig into. I think finally put out my treatise, my manifesto, the Seller's Manifesto.
Okay, we're not calling it that.
I was going to say, Jess, if I come to you with that as a suggestion, can you please whack me in the head with a baseball bat?
It's too Jerry Maguire. It's too Jerry Maguire-ish.
Yeah, because we wouldn't want the book to do like how Jerry Maguire.
Oh my God.
You know what Jerry Maguire says, don't you?
What?
Oh my God, I set you up.
Show me the money.
The
Show
money.
Me the money. Yeah.
Show me the money. All right, Jess, what are we talking about today? The last episode on the third to last. So we're not even, you know what? We should have recorded this tomorrow. You want to know why?
Why?
Tomorrow is the penultimate day.
It is. I didn't want to do that to our producer, though.
Why is the second to last the penultimate?
I'll look that up and we'll circle back.
And why is the penultimate episode always the best episode of a show?
Because the last one's always disappointing. It's ratcheting up the tension.
I think it's because the word penultimate is like filled with so much intrigue. Everyone's like, it's the penultimate episode. What the hell does that mean?
It comes from the Latin word, I'm going to butcher this, penultimus, which is a combination of the words pen, almost, and ultimus, last. So it's almost last. Is literally what it means. So there you go.
But isn't the third to last episode almost the last episode?
So the translation actually is next to last when you fully translate it to
next
English.
To last episode, the
next
penultimate.
Yep, the word literally means almost last or next to last. Yep.
There we go.
There you go, Doug.
See, this is the RevOps show making everybody smarter. So what are we talking about on the penultimate eve?
We're going to do the year in review, Doug. We're going to talk about the year.
Actually, isn't Monday Festivus?
I think Monday is Festivus.
We have got to schedule the airing of grievances.
We should just do that and not tell anybody. Just send the invite out to everybody and not with no context. The only one who's going to understand it is Drew.
But like send it as airing of grievances.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm doing that after we're done here. So we're going to do the year in review because it is the end of the year, as you mentioned several times. So we're going to talk through kind of our thoughts on some categories through the year.
Alrighty.
So
What's category number one?
What's your favorite episode, Doug?
Oh, I love each of my episodes in their own individual manner.
Like choosing between your children?
Exactly. I mean, there are so many amazing ideas shared in each individual episode. How could I not love them all equally? My favorite episode was the Revenue Acceleration Framework book episode where we talked about the book. That was a lifelong. It's funny because it's not the first book that I've been an author on that's been published, but it was the first book that I was, truly, it went beyond simple self-publishing, and truly was a soul book, and it really put forth the book that I co-authored was with my family, Parenting the Office. That had been my parents. My parents had been playing with that lifelong, and I, participated in it, but it wasn't at the core to me. And my parents were much more on the management side of management consulting. The Revenue Acceleration Framework, just, being able to do an episode on that, meaning that it was done, and sharing a little bit of the story about that. That was my favorite episode. What was yours?
I like that one too. So it's one that we did at the beginning of the year. It's one that I think still applies in riding the RevOps tornado.
Oh yeah. What'd you like about it, Jess?
So I brought up in the episode, I don't think we've talked about RevOps' job as education as much as we have in that episode. And we've certainly touched on it since. And there's always this want as well when we talk about RevOps to drive efficiency. And it's, we hit on, it's not about efficiency, it's more about throughput. That's what you should be focused on. I think that we're feeling this right now internally. We're feeling this right now with our clients, just the tornado in general, and trying to get these concepts across. And so I think it was a really good episode. I think it still applies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think The thing about riding the tornado is there's always levels of unpredictability. I think that, it's not supposed to be smooth. The funny thing is, I don't really understand. I mean, intellectually, I understand, but I don't really understand why, how does efficiency get measured on anything other than throughput? I mean, isn't efficiency supposed to be a measurement of utilization, right? And I think throughput also brings into account balancing production capacity and production, right? Yep. And if you look at throughput correctly, it balances the short, medium, and long term. I think the danger of too many RevOps, if the focus is on efficiency, you become the department of no.
Right. Yep.
Do not use spreadsheets. I thought that was a great episode. Jess, what were your regrets? What did you regret? What episode did you regret?
Regret? Wow, you changed the prompt on this one.
The official prompt was, what do you most want to do over or delete? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I want to know about your regrets, Jess. Tell me. Sit back,
Doug,
relax,
I have no regrets. We talked about this yesterday.
Regrets? I've had a few. But then again, too few to mention.
The episode I think I'd want to do over is your RevOps foundation strong enough? Because I think I've learned more around this.
When did we record that one?
It was in April.
Okay.
We did that one in April. So I went.
Hey, you were still a junior employee in April.
Yeah, exactly. So it was interesting as I was going back and revisiting, and this one hit me because we have a couple of clients that we've had for years now that we are kind of going back to basics with and talking to them about fundamentals. And so that, I think through those conversations, I've learned more. So I'd want to revisit that topic and kind of bring those learnings forward.
Well, Jess, what if we revisited that topic in 2025?
There we go. We should.
What's interesting about that is it really connects to riding the RevOps tornado.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. It does. It does.
Right. And it's not you build the foundation, then you build the next, we use the analogies of building a house. You'll even talk about blueprints and things like that. But the tornado is you're managing a living, breathing, complex eco organism.
Yeah.
So I just created a new word there, eco organism. To my knowledge, that word doesn't exist. That's combining organism with ecosystem.
Yep.
It's like Penus Ultimus. And so you've got to, and if you look at what we've done, in some of those places, we're at a place now where we have stretched beyond really the constraints of the system that's in place. Mm-hmm. That wasn't done accidentally.
Right.
We had to, as a matter of fact, we had to get to the place where we stretched beyond it to be able to know what was needed. So we're able to go back to that foundation. And really, if you think about what tech debt is, increasingly, that's where tech debt's going to get created, is you lock in your foundation so tightly that once you outgrow it, you going back to reestablish the foundation becomes far more expensive.
Yep.
So my do-over, I was going to cheat.
What episode do you regret the most? I believe that was the question that I was asked.
Right. I was going to cheat. Actually, the new answer is probably the one that I regret the most. But I was going to cheat, and I was going to talk about the cookie episode.
Mm-hmm.
Me want cookie.
Now, do you know why that's cheating?
Why?
It was the last episode we did in 2023.
Okay, so I actually looked at the cookie episode too. So this is fascinating.
But and the reason is, so I really liked the episode. I loved having Drew on. I liked the discussion. I don't think any of us thought that Google was actually going to implement the change.
Yeah.
Right. And they're not, right? So
Right.
I want to do it over because I think we could have put forth a stronger point of view.
Yep.
But the one that I regret not cheating, I think is going to surprise you.
Okay.
The MQL episode.
Oh, interesting. Why?
Because I think it's time to kill the MQL.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think it's because it's for all the reasons that we can't have nice things in our lives. We can't. So for those of you that either haven't listened to it or don't remember it, I did a rant on this one person who's talking about killing the MQL and here's how you have to do it. And I'm like, I mean, part of my point was not that his model was wrong.
Right.
And by the way, his model and the deals framework are so in alignment. It's actually, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But it's like, call it whatever the hell you want to call it. But I think some of what happened was I hadn't been working with many companies that were like, it had been a while since we had been working with, where we were working with new clients that were locked into this demand serious waterfall model and just, MQL, SQL. It's like, well, no. That's not like what's far, far more important is who's your target market? Who in your target market knows who you are? Who in your target market has come in contact with you? Who in your target market is playing with you, is engaged in some fashion? Like really looking at it through the mutual journey. And people are so now I still think you can do this. Like you could still call these MQLs. You could call like I stick by, but I came down and actually I felt it a little bit even like I felt it before we published the episode.
Yeah.
That I probably like getting that rant out allowed me to hear a little bit of the other side. But I think that people are, I have a problem. I've always had a problem with the funnel analogy. And the reason for the funnel analogy is in a funnel, the top is always bigger than the bottom. You can't accelerate velocity of a funnel. Actually, the way you accelerate velocity of a funnel is viscosity of what's in the funnel. The more watery, the faster it'll go down.
Yep.
The less mass, the faster it'll go down. But everyone goes through the same journey, right? Whereas in a real place, you come into the funnel, you go out of the funnel. When I look at companies that really scale growth, what I find is their advantage is how they build the middle of the funnel. Their widest point is the middle of the funnel, right? And if you think about it, that's what brand awareness does.
Right.
Right. Why brand awareness? Brand awareness brings you in, then you're able to expand. So you have more people at the middle of the funnel than you have at the top. But this whole idea of it was all built just because it, if you roll the numbers up, there's always fewer at the bottom than the top, right? So I think, I don't think that you necessarily have to go to the flywheel. I don't think it's always a flywheel. I think if you can make it a flywheel, that's great. But I think it's, again, much more of a manufacturing process. And I think that there's so much baggage loaded into the, that's the other thing too, is that like we created a metric called EQL, engaged qualified lead. It exists between marketing qualified lead and sales qualified lead. A lot of product companies created the term PQL, which is it's product generated versus, so like all of those things are saying that this model doesn't stand up to the complexity. And so I wish we had set a more balanced approach. And I would say that in a relatively short term, because it was only was only 3 months ago that we recorded that episode.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. I've rethought it. So for those of you that say that I'm stubborn as a mule, that's where I have changed how I think about that.
All right. What's the best thing about the year? What's been the best thing about the year?
Getting the opportunity to work with you, Jess.
Okay, great.
You know, the year's finishing, and I'm going to be able to say that this was a pretty good year. But it was a hard year.
Yeah.
So in some ways, the best thing about this year, and at one point, I think I would have answered this question. The best thing about this year was we got through it. The middle of this year was tough, and not just for us. I mean, we saw this across. So I think we navigated things well. I think we've launched some new services. One of the fun things is we've had the opportunity to go back to our roots a little bit. The percentage of what we're doing that's performance based over just technical implementation. So I look back, and if you think about it through the lens of a solve for the customer, I think we did an extraordinary job of delivering a tremendous amount of value, a tremendous amount of flexibility. And, one of my measurements is, would the world notice if you were never here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if you look at the work that we've done with our clients, I think that, would they get stuff done? Would they achieve success? Yes, they would, but it would be a much harder row. I think we're about to have one of our biggest success stories. I did knock on wood, Jess. From an implementation standpoint, and I don't think that there are many people who could have done. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's anybody that could have done what we're doing. And part of that is because I don't think the Venn diagram of who would be willing to do what we did and who is capable of doing what we did isn't very big.
Yep.
So I think that there's a lot of our theories of this continue to be proved. And so I think those were some of the best things about this year. Yeah. Other than the opportunity of, on a regular daily basis, being able to talk to me, Jess.
There, exactly.
What was
So it's interesting. I had similar thoughts. And one thing that struck me as you were talking, I think 2018 was a pretty rough year, if memory serves, for us.
What are you trying to do to me, Jess?
I know, right? But if you look at how we handled 2024 versus 2018, I think we handled 2024 far better than we handled 2018. So that the word that came to mind as I was thinking about this is maturity. We're much more mature in the sales process and how we're handling sales of the customers we've closed this year, and how we're strategizing and collaborating there. I think the services we're offering, while we have gotten back to our roots, are far more mature than they were.
Oh yeah.
And then the other thing I wrote down is playing our game. Like, we played our game with our clients this year. We played our game our way. And I think we've talked about, we're not for everybody. We're not a fit for everybody. So, sometimes playing our game isn't well received.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to win, then you might not want to work with us.
I think that's one thing that we learned through that 2018, 2019 period was, like, we have to play our game. And I think this year we've consistently done that, whether it was easy or not, because sometimes it's not easy for us to do that. So.
Yeah, and it's an interesting place because you got to play your game, but it's a very fine line between being obstinate, and being resilient, right? There's a level of flexibility that we continue to maintain, because we did adjust to the market. The market, we've seen demand come back, and some indicators are showing it back to near all-time highs. But make no mistake, this is not a 2021, 2022 market.
Right.
This is a 2013, 2014 market, right?
Yep.
With greater complexity. And so we've raised our assessments up real levels. We've brought in the ability to start off small, to confirm things or to identify things and grow into that. Those were all changes that needed to be made. So like we could have misinterpreted the play our game to say, no, this is the way we do it. But we realized we had to bring entry level, and that was hard, right? Because we had 3 straight years of raising prices, of coming into situations and pricing it at, this is where it needs to be priced, but gulp. We've not, we did our first $500,000 contract a couple years ago. And let me tell you, as someone, how hard it is to work up. And now you're coming in and you're saying, okay, are we going to offer a $25,000 entry point? Are we going to offer these pieces? Those are all questions that come in. And it was interesting because a HubSpot sales rep that I'm good friends with, I caught up with him, hadn't talked to him in a long time. And, he's like, hey, I've noticed, there's these consolidations that are happening, et cetera. He's like, what's up with you guys? Are you guys just kind of moving on and, you're just going to pound away to be the biggest in the world? And I said, you know what? If I run the company, if I'm still running the company, there's no chance of us being the biggest. Right. That's not what we're seeking to do. That's not the game that we're playing. Now, having the biggest impact, maybe. So yeah, I think that that's definitely a highlight of the year. What about mistake? What's the biggest mistake you made this year?
So I think it's overloading what we think we can do in a period of time. So we've up leveled our customer base. Like we've got more complex clients. Some of our clients have grown into more complex clients, ones that we've had for years. And we can't do the same amount of work because the work is harder, the work is bigger in that period of time with a more complex client. So I think that's the biggest mistake, is overshooting what we can actually do and recalibrating that with the clients that we have today. I think
the thing we have to figure out in 2025 is how to adjust to that truth while maintaining velocity. Because it's real easy with those clients to lose velocity. And if we lose velocity, we lose what makes us us.
Yep.
Right. So I think it's getting into first principles. I think what we need to be doing better is leaning forward and leaning into the future. We need to be predicting these things more so that, do you remember I think they were the Harrier jets or they're not the Harrier jets, but remember the planes that had wings that were backwards?
Yes.
The reason that they did that was those planes had much more maneuverability, right? Because it was built to be unstable. So between computers and pilots is what kept it aerodynamic.
Right.
But you basically had to keep it flying. Like you had to keep it going straight so as that it wouldn't move. Because its state was to move, it would move that much faster. It would adjust and change that much faster. I think that's where we've got to bring agility into the future. I think that's the challenge for us going forward. And I think as we master that, we'll make some big news. My biggest mistake was I misread the market. I misread it pretty, it was always in my head. And it's the challenge of running a business. And actually, in some ways, the smarter you are, the harder it is to run a business. And I know that sounds really self self-aggrandizing, but like I'm well aware of reversion to the mean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well aware of the fact that luck is 50% of the game.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's really easy to get conservative. So like the problem with reversion to the mean is that when times are bad, you don't really have the resources to bet on reversion to the mean, right? Because times are bad. So you've got to conserve, et cetera. And when times are good, it's hard to make your bets because, it's just a matter of time before you get, something's going to get hit. And especially in a space where we deal with tens of customers. Like we want to win tens of customers, not even hundreds. And we saw the broader market saw a Q4 in 23 that peaked up. We saw a Q1 peak up.
Mm-hmm.
We had some consistency in the leading quarters around our demand numbers. And so we continued to operate on a projection that like we were 2 quarters late on a return to normalcy. So in the long run, it will hopefully not have much impact, but it definitely had impact in the short run. We also had to adjust. We had gotten over our skis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I don't think we got over our skis. We got over our market's skis.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So we had moved up market and continued to see a move up market, and our ecosystem isn't there. Right. So we started being there. We were ready for that. We were built for that. Mm-hmm. And again, that moved to small projects, et cetera. It's like, what was the smartest thing that we did this year? We adjusted quickly, and we're able to very quickly take advantage of things that were different. We had become a little bit too dependent on a couple of sources. But yes, that was my biggest mistake for the year, was made some strategic decisions that very quickly needed to be adjusted.
Yep. What do you feel is the best state of report of the year, or the best insight that you've seen this year?
I think the state of reports was. Oh no, that's the one that I'm writing. Sorry, no. No, I thought the go-to-market report episode that we did, I thought that was a really good report. I think, the problem that I have with so many I have a problem with state of reports in general, because they're produced by companies that are selling whatever the state of is being sold. And so there's always this angle or bent. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, there's very little that's showing, like, I don't care what the answer is. The answer, like 76% of people miss quota. Okay, who cares?
Right.
76% of quota miss quota here. What did they miss before? And so, I'll give go-to-market partners credit. I thought and think still that report is a great report. I thought the episode that we did on it was super instructive. I think it's still relevant today. I like reports that kind of continue to look at the same sets of things, so you can begin to see what's the movement. What a state of report to me is how have things changed, not here's a snapshot. 87% of marketers use email. Okay, awesome. Wow. So yes, that was the state of report I thought was the best one.
I agree. I had that one. I also think that the RevOps Co-op state of RevOps report is actually pretty good. There's some better insights in that one, and actionable items in it. So
yeah, I found that to be a little bit more. I thought it was good. I think it's worth reading. Absolutely. Yeah. I found it to be a little bit more of a point of view piece.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm okay with that. If the state of marketing, 72% use inbound marketing, 63% use outbound marketing, like that's a snapshot report. That's not a state of report. Right. A state of report has opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing from, because by the way, some of your conclusions I'll agree with, and it'll motivate me to do something. Some of your conclusions I'll disagree with, and that'll motivate me to do something.
Yeah.
Too many state of reports are like, oh, isn't that interesting?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Breaking Bad was interesting.
It was.
And I just, so if I'm getting interesting, I just as soon watch Breaking Bad. If I'm looking to do something, I want to report
right
that gives me insight.
Yep.
What was the biggest change this year, Jess?
So I think for me, it was the awareness and in a beginning to understand what RevOps is and what we do. So I think
it only took you 5 years.
Exactly. I think it's part of the reason we were able to mature is there is more of an understanding in the market of like, so I think we have a client who we've worked with for like 7 years, read the book and he's like, okay, I've been asking you for your elevator pitch for years, quote unquote, like how do you explain what you do? I finally get it. Like, not that he didn't understand, but kind of is able to articulate it. Yep.
That's the award-winning, best-selling revenue acceleration framework.
I didn't tee that up the right way. So I think that awareness and understanding of RevOps and the need for it has been the biggest change.
See the ribbon in the middle?
I do see that.
That's one of its awards. Yeah, so I think RevOps is coming into its own. One of our themes next year is 5 years of RevOps. RevOps really became a term. We actually wrote what is RevOps and what is everyone getting wrong in 2020, believe it or not. So we're coming into 5 years. We've been doing RevOps since 2018, right. But really started talking about it as something other people were doing. So I think that's definitely been the case. Biggest change of the year for me is utilizing generative AI. That's been a big change for me. I think it's safe to say I went from a hater to a pragmatist. Mm-hmm. Or I'm sorry, I was never a hater. I went from a naysayer to a pragmatist. Mm-hmm. Which is typical for me, right? I beat things up. So I think we're using that in really unique ways or in effective ways. I don't know if unique's probably the wrong term. I'm actually having to write something from scratch, Jess. It really hurt. I'm like, wait, where's the thing that I can't, why can't I just throw this into, and the reason is this is something that's brand new. And so I can't feed the right information in. By the way, the AI readiness webinar mm-hmm. has gotten a lot of really good feedback.
Good. I told you it was good.
I know. But, so I had to re-record it. That was fun.
Yeah.
So they both gotten actually really good feedback. I was able to do it not once, but twice. Does that mean I've mastered AI?
It might.
What's interesting is AI went mainstream, but is also there's a back end where there's a lot of people beginning to realize what we've been saying for years that there's more acknowledgement that very little real impact has been generated. Lots of experiments, lots of curiosity. Most of the areas where AI is having, where people point to AI for having its impact, it's actually machine learning. Yep. Much more than it is gen. So it's kind of like the move of AI into business use is it's beginning to be looked at through, I think, the appropriate lens, which is a much more balanced lens.
And then I want to end on prediction for next year. I'm going to share mine first.
I Didn't you miss a question, Jess?
We're not doing that question, Doug. So my prediction for next year is we're going to see even more of a focus on locking down data, the want for what I'm going to call complete data, and focus on security. And this connects to some of what you just talked about with AI being at the forefront. We're going to see more of a want for those things and actually more of a necessity for those things because of AI. So you're going to need more complete data. You're going to need more accurate, reliable data in order for you to be able to leverage the AI tools that are coming to fruition.
So my fear on that prediction is we're going to see the demand for data to a level that the company making the demand isn't capable.
I have the same concern and fear that you have as somebody who lives that every day. Yeah.
I think that's I think data lockdown, data security. I think data security. I think sales teams and the whole element of CRM, I think they need to get ahead of this. They're kind of sitting back and letting it be somebody else's problem. Yeah. And you're going to see, I mean, we're already seeing this, right? It's, what's old is new again. We saw this probably 10, 15 years ago. IT wanting to lock things down, which is completely understandable and natural. Yeah. At the expense of utilization for their tools. So there really needs to be, you need to have a data point of view and policy. A data policy alone is not going to be enough. I think that my prediction for next year is that the best thing about next year is the opportunity that I'm going to have on a regular basis to come in and interact with you, Jess. I think on the AI side, I think we continue to see it move more to a realists model, which I think is actually good. I'm very, very curious to see what comes of Salesforce's Agent Force. They are going all in on that, and Benioff is looking at it through more than just a go-to-market perspective. So I think that's going to be interesting. I think that, we make projections about next year. I think next year is going to look a lot like this year. I think we're still looking at lenses in the, people are thinking much more 3 to 6 months ahead than they are thinking 12 to 18 months ahead. There's still nervousness and concern. I think that we're going to see lots of macroeconomic variance. I think the world is going through, we're in a shifting of waves, which is always extremely disruptive. And I think you can't lose sight of that. But I think, business is getting back to business. And so I think like the best thing that I think the companies that focus on the fundamentals, when I coached baseball, I didn't create this, but it was my mantra: win the inning. And I think that the company that wins the inning is going to win the game.
And that's all I have to say about that.
That's my thoughts about next year, Jess.
It's gonna be like this year, so we're gonna be just glad we got through it. Is what I'm hearing.
I just I think that from a demand standpoint, we're going to be back into more of a regular market again. I think it's going to be like a 2013, 2014 type market. Yep. My point is like I don't like it'd be easy to say next year's the year AI. I'm like, I think more people are beginning to take a realistic approach to AI, which means it's going to have an incremental effect on companies because they're very. I mean, I just reviewed an article, that, told a really good, it was definitely a cheerleader story, but told a really good story about, a large part of the problem is we're not using AI right. And that's why it's not delivering for people.
Right.
My point is that there's a skill level that people still don't have for it. But, talking about companies' data and information and knowledge, AI, let's see that AI is capable of doing all of the things that people are saying it's capable of doing. And by the way, that is less than clear, right?
Yep.
You still can't get AI. Like if you tell your AI, do not hallucinate, do not tell me something that's not true, it will still tell you something that's not true. It does not have the ability to, that's a fairly big thing. And if you look at so many of these fixes that are coming, it's fixes where some human is programming something to say, like, okay, here's the line, you can't cross this line. All right,
Yep.
that kind of proves my but let's just say that it is capable of doing what the cheerleaders say it's capable of doing. If I'm not capable of giving it what it needs to be able to do that, then
Right.
So if you give me the story, like if the only stories you can tell me about AI are the absolute best in class and how this company here did this and this, like, it's like saying, well, here's how Warren Buffett invests.
Right.
Okay, well, guess what? In the history of the world, there's been one Warren Buffett.
Right.
Right. And oh, by the way, Warren Buffett was assisted by Charlie Munger. And in the history of the world, there's only been one Charlie Munger. So if you're
Right.
telling me my success is dependent upon thinking like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, I don't want to say I'm not in good shape, which I'm not in if that's the case, but it's not particularly helpful.
Right.
Right. So I think that as we start, like, it's really easy this time of year to say there's going to be this big change next year. No, I think we're going to, things are going to continue to evolve. I think it's going to look more like the second half of this year, with a little bit of bumpiness, right? The Fed said yesterday that, inflation is still an issue. The Fed is taking inflation seriously. So I think that, there are areas, it's more of a natural business environment. You've got to, I like it because it plays to strategy, right?
Right.
In great markets, you don't get paid for strategy.
Yep.
You just ride the wave. And we're not going to ride the wave, Jess. We're going to ride the tornado.
Exactly.
And you know what that's going to do? You know what that's going to do? It's
What?
going to let us say no to shitty RevOps.
Till next time.
And that's a wrap on the final episode of the RevOps show for this year. Thank you so much for joining us for this reflection. As we look ahead to the new year, we're committed to helping you navigate the unpredictable world of RevOps with practical insights and powerful tools. If you have any topics you want Doug and Jess to cover in the new year, or any questions that you think they should answer, email me at hannah@liftenablement.com so we can make sure that we address anything that you are curious about. Have a favorite moment or a takeaway from today? Drop us a line and connect with us on LinkedIn. We would love to hear from you. And as always, make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast listening platform and on YouTube. Until next time and next year, here's to building smarter RevOps strategies. Thank you for being part of the RevOps show, and we will see you in 2025.